Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of the Indicator Store, and today we are going to review how to use the ATM. This is a setting that we can see on NinjaTrader on this section, and this is a very important and useful feature on NinjaTrader because we can split our trade size in several positions, having different targets, trailing stop, auto break even. Let's say, for example, that we have a signal like this. Here we can see that we have a short with a possible fill near the close of this bar. And for example, instead of having only one target, maybe I want to split my position in a target number one, another target near this area. Also, we may have a runner, more or less with a target like this. This is just an example. The idea is how I can create something complex like this in a simple way. We can see that here we have a drop down with several templates. If you don't have any one, you can create your first one. And we need to define the rules and knowing the size of each one of those targets. To have an idea of that size in ticks, we can use the ruler here on this button, on the drawing tool. We select ruler, and then we can measure between 2 points, for example, from the possible entry here and the other place. And we can see that we get a number in the vertical axis. This is negative because the end position is below the starting position. It can be also positive if we start and finish upper. But more or less we can see that we have 20. 20 what? No points. Because if you double click the tool, you can see that the display unit is tick. You can also select price, but usually I prefer, instead of 5 points, I prefer to see this in ticks. So we know that this distance is more or less 20 ticks. Very useful for my target 1 and maybe also for my stop. Then we can specify something near 40 and near 60 for the targets number 2 and 3. And also I want to define that once we take the target 1, I want to move the stop of my remaining position to break even. Or maybe even a better position. If I have 2 remaining positions, maybe I can use an auto break even for the second to break even, and for the third position, use a trailing stop. What is a trailing stop? Once we start the trail, we define which is the maximum distance that we are allowing to retrace. For example, if I set a big number, then we can see that we never reach that level again. We are really close here, but we are not touching that level. But if I use a small trailing stop, then we will be out at the following bar, like for example here. So this is another important factor to take into account, which is the size needed for my trailing. And for that we can also use the ruler between the moment where we start trailing and the maximum pullback. We have 35. That means if I start trailing at this point and I want to keep going down, I need a trailing stop bigger than that number. Now, how can I configure all that? We can click on the strategy ATM tool, select custom, and here we can see that we have only one contract in ticks, because here we can also select the measurement method, and only one position, one contract on the position number one. I cannot change the size because it is only one position. But if I want to split my position, for example, if I have 4 contracts and I remove half of that, 2 contracts on the position number one, on the target number one, and then keep 2 contracts, removing one on the target number 2. Let's say that we start with 4 contracts. We can see that we have a fixed 4 that we can change when we add another position. Let me configure this with 20 and 20. This is what we saw for the target number 1. Then I add another position, and now we can see that we can split those 4 contracts in a different format. For example, 2 on the target number 1, and then we have 2 extra contracts remaining. I can place all of them on the second position, like here, with the same stop and a bigger target. We saw 40 for this example. But now, when I reach the target 1, I want to move my stop to break even. So I can use a stop strategy custom, and here on the first row we have the auto break even, on the second we have the trailing stop area. For the second position we are only using auto break even. So when the profit is 20 ticks, so we reach the target 1, I move my stop to break even plus, in this case, 0. You can place 1 tick better, like this, to cover the commissions, or just leave this to 0. I usually prefer to use 0. So now we have the complete position. No stop strategy on the first one because we just trigger the target and that's all. On the second position, we move the stop to break even. But I can split those 2 contracts again, one now, and then another one with the same stop, a bigger target, with a trailing stop. So we also need to add the auto break even. We had an auto break even at 20. And finally, this is the stop of this partial position. But I have 3 different positions. On the position number 2, when we reach 40 ticks, at that moment I want to start my trailing here. So I select 1 step trailing and trigger the trailing. I start trailing my stop when I reach 40 ticks, my target number 2. And which is the size of my trailing? This is the number that we saw. We needed 35, so let's use 40, a slightly bigger number. And also we can see that it is covering my current profit, so it is a break even. So that will be okay. Now we have a complete ATM with 3 positions, where target number 1 is 20, target number 2 is 40, and also we try to reach 60 ticks. You can replace this by 0 if you don't want a target, but I suggest using a target so you can view the target and move manually. If you want, you can use something big, but if like 100, 200, whatever, so you can see the order and you can manually move it. But for this example, let's leave 60. You can click on save, choose a name, use any convention that you prefer. I use something like 4 contracts. The targets are 20, 40, and 60 versus the stop that is 20. Click on save. Okay, and now you can see that you have the saved ATM selected. That means that any order started from NinjaTrader is going to use this ATM. Now the question is, how can I test that ATM is working as expected without waiting a lot of minutes until I have a signal and also that the market moves in the correct direction? All the signals are already automated by Markers, so I can click here and Markers is going to use that ATM. I can show that later. But before testing live, we need to test if this really works before going to the real time frame. So to check if the ATM is doing what we want, we have a tool where we can disconnect to the live price action and connect to a simulated account where we can move the price action to the upside and to the downside so we can check the ATM. So we can connect directly to simulated data feed, and it is going to start at a predefined price that you can change, and then you can move the slider to the upside and to the downside. Where it is going to start is important because if there is a big difference, maybe we get something like this, a big bar to the downside. And we can also see the slider. We can move the price to the upside. We cannot change the speed because we are still using whatever we have selected here. So we need 1 minute for this bar to finish. So if I want to test my ATM quickly, I can change my time frame to something faster. But the most important, where is the connection going to start? You can select the instrument from Tools Options. This instrument is ES. You click on Edit, and you can see on the Scene Feed Start Price, this is the price where the price action is going to start when you connect to this data feed, to the simulated data feed. Try to make this number close to the current price action to avoid having a big gap when you connect. Let's say, for example, I want to start at 5986. Okay, you can change that number, 5986. Click on OK. And now when you disconnect and connect again, it should start from that moment. You can also connect to real time to refresh the price action. And now you can disconnect and connect again. So starting from the current bar, we have simulated data, like here. Now it is starting from the price that you selected. Now, how can I test my ATM? We can set a time frame faster than this. Let's try with 3 seconds. The minimum is 1 second. And also, I don't want too many bars in the chart because I want this to be really fast. So you can leave 500 bars. When you click on OK, now you can see at the top left corner it is loading, and now it is ready. If I move the slider to the upside, then the market is going to move to the upside slowly at 3 seconds per bar or whatever you choose here. And I can also control the speed. Maybe not so fast, neutral, and now fast to the downside. Now I want to test this if this ATM is doing what I am expecting. How can I check that? I can enter market. Clicking on buy market, we enter long using the selected ATM. Now I move the slider to the upside so we can check if the orders are moving according to the ATM settings, because here we have 20 for the target number 1, 40 and 60 for the rest of the target. When we reach target 1, the stop for the 2 extra positions should be moved to break even. Now we need to wait for this to reach target number 1. You can use 1 second if you want to go faster. And when we reach target 1, the stop should be moved to break even, like here. And now nothing happens until we reach the target number 2. When we are 40 ticks into the profit, the trail of the other position starts moving. From where? From 40 ticks to the other side. That means break even, like here. 40 ticks, no, from this point, no, from here. 40 ticks to the downside, it is equal to the target. Each time we make a better high, the stop is moved accordingly. Let's see if that happens. In the meantime, we are always in control of the orders. We can move the target, the stops, cancel the position. We are just about to trigger the target number 2 at 40, and at the same time, the stop starts moving. Now the trailing stop is in action. The trailing is moving 40 ticks behind the best price we reach. If we go in the other direction, if the price goes in the other direction, the stop is not moving. The stop is always moving to the target, never in the other direction. To keep trailing, the market must make a better high. It needs to reach this level, and only then it starts to trail again. We need to reach this level, so the stop starts moving. Like here. We are always in control of the order. We can move the target, the stop. I can move the stop to the other side, so it is not going to trail until we have 40 ticks. Or if I move to the other side, then it is moving the stop, because when we are more than 40 ticks than the price action, it moves the stop. I can also close the position moving the target to the other side. And again, if I want to automate the signals, when the market is going down, the short signal should trigger this ATM. And also we can see how it can reverse a failed signal. I forgot to change the name of the signal. Let me check. It is supposed to automate the signal, but I guess I forgot to change the fast signal mode. So the two copies must have the use as fast signal, so they are triggering markers. Now let's move the marker to the upside so we get a long. The long should be auto-executed by markers using the ATM that we were testing previously. So what happens if I am in the middle of the ATM? So we got target 1, maybe we are trailing or not. So we have a partial position and markers detect a reversal signal. By default, markers is configured to reverse the position. So close whatever is working and then reverse the position. Let's see an example. When we take the target 1, moves all the stops to break even. You can also move the stop manually. So now we have target 1. But what if in the middle of nowhere, like now, we get a short signal and we are just about to reach the target? Let's say we have a short. With the reversal option, the default option selected, it should close the current long, like here, and then start a short trade. It is not starting a short because we have already reached the daily profit. But if not, it closes the current long, whatever remains in the position, and starts a new short. That's all for today. Hope this video has been useful. If you have any question or comment, don't forget that we have a chat room on Discord. The access is free and the instructions are on the description of this video. Thank you everyone. Bye bye.